Let's talk about one of the most maddening, most universal feelings the human brain can cook up. We've all been there. You're trying to find that one perfect word, and poof, it's just gone.
Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're in the middle of a sentence, and that word is just hovering, right on the edge of your mind. You can almost feel its shape. You can almost hear its sound, but you just can't quite pull it into focus. It's this temporary mental glitch that, believe me, happens to every single one of us.
But here's the thing. This isn't just some random brain fart. No, it's a specific neurological event that scientists have been studying for decades. And of course, they've given it some very specific and actually pretty cool names.
So what do the experts actually call this frustrating little brain freeze? Let's dive in and see what's really happening up there.
Okay, so the main scientific term is lethologica. And get this, it comes from Greek mythology, specifically from the river Lethe in the underworld, where the water would make the dead forget their entire past lives. A little dramatic? Maybe, but it totally captures that feeling of just blankness when a word vanishes. Now, what's really interesting is that scientists have sliced this even thinner. So lethologica covers any old word. But there's a special term, lethonemia, for that uniquely painful moment when you can't remember a person's name. You know, you see an actor and you're like, oh, it's, that guy from that thing with the car. Yep, that's lethonemia in action. And here is a really crucial distinction to make. That tip of the tongue state, or TOT, is that intense, almost vibrating feeling that you're about to get it. It feels so close. But that's actually different from a feeling of knowing state, or FOK. An FOK is more like a general sense that, yeah, you have that info filed away somewhere, and you could probably pick it out of a lineup, but you don't have that same urgent, it's right there feeling.
So we've put a name to the phenomenon, but what's actually causing it? Well, this is where it gets really fascinating, because frankly, scientists don't totally agree.
You can really think of it like a detective story that's unfolding inside your own head. When a word goes missing, there are two main theories, two prime suspects that could explain the crime.
Okay, suspect number one is the blocking hypothesis. Picture this as a mental traffic jam. A word that sounds similar or is related in meaning just jumps out in front and blocks the path to the word you actually want. Then there's suspect number two, the transmission deficit hypothesis. This is more like a weak signal. The neural pathways to the word you're searching for are just a little too faint at that moment to fire properly.
Two great theories, right? But which one is it? Well, let's play detective and follow the clues scientists have been gathering.
So in one study from 2013, researchers tested these ideas by showing people pictures of celebrities and asking for their names. But right before showing the target, let's say Tom Hanks, they would flash a related name like Tom Cruise. The big question was, would that clue help or would it just get in the way?
And the results were super clear. The clues helped a lot. People were way faster and had fewer tip-of-the-tongue moments when they got that little hint. As the study itself says, this was a big point for the transmission deficit idea, and it seemed to argue against the whole blocking theory.
So the takeaway here is that giving the brain a little nudge seemed to strengthen that weak signal, making it easier to find the word. This was a huge win for the weak signal camp. And for a while, it pretty much seemed like, okay, case closed.
But then, just like in any good mystery, a brand new piece of evidence showed up, and it turned everything on its head.
A huge recent study used some really advanced brain imaging to look directly at the brain's wiring, the actual physical connections in the part of our brain that handles word sounds. They wanted to see if people with better, stronger wiring had fewer of these tip-of-the-tongue moments. Makes sense, right?
Well, they found the exact opposite of what you'd expect. It turns out people with more connections, a richer, denser word network, actually had more tip-of-the-tongue states. This is a huge piece of evidence for the blocking hypothesis. A busier network just means there are more potential blockers creating more mental traffic jam.
So, where does that leave us? We have one study suggesting that clues help boost a weak signal, and another one suggesting a busy brain creates more traffic jams. The evidence is contradictory, which probably means both theories have a piece of the puzzle. The whodunit continues.
Okay, so while the scientists keep investigating, what can we do about it? Let's get practical and talk about what to do the next time that word just refuses to show up.
First off, it really helps to know what usually sets this off. And no surprise here, things like stress, being tired, and just being distracted can all make it happen more often. And yeah, it does tend to happen a bit more as we get older, apparently about once a day for older adults versus maybe once a week for younger folks.
So, what's the game plan? Well, first and most important, stay calm. Getting anxious about it only makes it worse. Instead of trying to force it, just talk around the word, use a synonym, or describe what you mean. And for long-term prevention, you know the drill. Get enough sleep and keep your brain sharp with things like reading or puzzles.
But listen up, because this is the single most important and honestly the most surprising tip of all. Stop trying so hard. Seriously, the research shows that trying to brute force the word out of your memory doesn't work. In fact, it might just strengthen the mental link between that word and the feeling of being stuck, making it more likely you'll get stuck on it again. Sometimes the best thing to do is just let it go. To put all of this in perspective, think about this number for a second. 42,000. That's about how many words the average native English-speaking adult has stored in their brain. It is a massive, incredibly complex library you're accessing every single day.
So maybe the next time you get a word stuck on the tip of your tongue, instead of getting frustrated, you can just take a second to marvel at the incredible, and yeah, occasionally glitchy, machine that's running the whole show.